Hi, I'm Marcus, and in this video, I'll show you how you can bleed your Shimano mountain bike and road brakes with our noair bleed kit. Psst, if this video is too long for you, there's also an express version for mountain bikes. Let's start with the contents. In our bleed kit, you'll find a syringe with a hose, but deliberately without a rubber seal, as provided by some manufacturers. It does look nice and seems to be high quality, and the syringes work very smoothly at first, but the seals swell up after a single use with mineral oil, and then they don't work smoothly at all. You'll also find one M5 funnel with a wooden fastening skewer, one M7 adapter for road models. Here, it's important that the adapter is made of synthetics and not metal. Hydraulic oil for Shimano, one open-end wrench, one bleed block to use as a spacer between the pistons, a reusable zip tie, and a printed manual. Additionally, make sure to have paper towels or a rag at hand, as well as alcohol or soapy water for cleaning. I also recommend always wearing gloves when bleeding your brakes. However, mineral oil is significantly less aggressive than, for example, DOT brake fluid. Before you start, prepare the syringe by connecting it to the hose and filling it with about 20 milliliters of mineral oil. It's best to twist on the hose completely. That way, 20 milliliters will fit just fine. Air in the hose will then move into the syringe, so you have to press it out. Hold the syringe such that the opening is the highest point, and press out the excess air. It should definitely not wind up in your brakes. A quick note on the procedure we're about to show. We'll demonstrate with a mountain bike brake. For steps that vary for road models, road bikes, gravel, we'll show the variations as well. Now it's time to prepare your brake caliper for bleeding. To do so, you first have to take off the wheel, a quick and easy task with disc brakes. Then remove the brake pads to make sure that no oil contaminates them. Next, place the bleed block between the pistons. This will push the pistons back. Don't worry if you have to use some force. Lock the bleed block in place with the pad retaining screw. If necessary, you can also use an elastic band if the block doesn't fit. If it's too difficult to push the pistons back, you can also use a plastic tire lever or something similar. That way you have more leverage, but please never use a sharp object such as a screwdriver. You may end up destroying your piston. In order to set the correct distance between your pistons, it really is important that you use the bleed block as a placeholder. If the bleed block doesn't fit at all, then either your pistons aren't yet pushed back entirely, or at some point you overfilled your system. In that case, you'll first have to drain some oil. Again and again, you'll find instructions online in which the pads aren't removed and no bleed block is used. Sure, it's quicker and easier that way, but you may end up with problems when changing your discs or pads. The next step is to place your brake lever in a horizontal position so that the bleed screw is the highest point. If you have an adjustment screw for lever reach, screw it outwards completely such that the lever is as far away as possible from the handlebars. If you have an adjustment screw for the free stroke, screw it inwards, clockwise, completely. For Shimano road brakes, prepare your brake lever by first rolling back the brake hood and then setting the reach and pressure point accordingly. Unfortunately, the placements of road lever screws vary greatly. For your model, you'll have to look it up in the manual. If you don't have one, you can find the documents you need at Shimano Tech Docs. Now, fit the hose of the filled syringe onto the bleed nipple on the brake caliper. The nipple is usually under a rubber dust cap. Putting on the hose may require some force, but it is unfortunately necessary to make sure the hose sits well and provides a seal. It works best if you fit the hose coming from the side. It's best to then attach the syringe to the frame or fork with the reusable zip tie. Attaching the syringe facing upwards in a vertical position is advantageous. Gravity will work for you, ensuring that the air always moves upwards and you don't push any air from the syringe back into the system. This is the exact same for road brakes. Now it's back to the brake lever. Remove the bleed screw using a 2.5mm Allen key for mountain bike brakes or a 2mm key for road brakes. With Shimano, the bleed screw is fitted with an O-ring. Make sure not to lose it. It may happen that the ring stays in the borehole when you remove the screw. In that case, make sure to take it out and safely put it aside. Now you can screw on the M5 funnel. Please be careful, the funnel only needs to seal for the next few minutes and doesn't need to retain anything for the next 10,000 meters of elevation. Theoretically, it seals without an O-ring, but to be on the safe side, we recommend putting one on. On road brakes, you'll have M7 threads. Just screw the plastic adapter onto the funnel. By the way, the threads on road brake levers are made of plastic and aren't particularly robust. That's why you shouldn't use a metal adapter, as often the case online or in other kits, because it's easier and cheaper to manufacture adapters out of aluminium or brass. But there's a serious risk of ruining the whole brake lever, and then you won't have saved a thing. Shimano has its reasons for making them out of plastic. Now you're ready to start bleeding your brakes. Use the 7mm open-end wrench to open the bleed nipple on the brake caliper. To do so, turn the nipple a quarter turn counterclockwise. Some models need to be opened by a set screw on the side. Open it with a 3mm Allen key. Start by gently depressing the plunger of the syringe attached to the brake caliper. This will fill the funnel above. If there is air in the system, bubbles should now rise into the funnel. Don't empty the syringe completely. Leave a little bit of oil inside. If the oil that has now emerged in the funnel above is mucky and not clean, then seal off the funnel with the wooden skewer, remove it, collect the old oil in any bottle, and please dispose of it properly. You can bring it to a recycling depot or even bring it to a gas station. Please don't just pour it down the drain or put it in the trash. Mineral oil has no business there and really needs to be disposed of correctly. Then fill up the funnel with clean oil. Next, do the very same thing but in the other direction, carefully pulling back the syringe's plunger. Repeat this several times until there are no more air bubbles. From time to time, pull back and quickly release the brake lever and tap up and down the hydraulic hose. This can free air bubbles that might be stuck somewhere along the line. Now you're almost done. You can close the nipple on the brake caliper with the open-end wrench or 3mm Allen key and remove the syringe. Reinstall the rubber dust cap and wipe up any excess oil with a rag. Next, we'll focus on the lever again. Pull it back 1 or 2 times until you've got a clean pressure point again. Once that's the case, seal the funnel with the wooden skewer and remove it. Luckily, you didn't lose your locking screw and O-ring. Now it's time to reinstall them and seal the whole thing off. And that's it, all in all. It's best if you clean your brake caliper and brake lever with isopropyl alcohol, but soap suds work too. Of course, you have to reassemble now. Remove the bleed block on the brake caliper, reinstall the brake pads, reattach the wheel, readjust the brake lever to riding position, and readjust your lever reach and, if you've got one, your free stroke as well. The bleed kit is, of course, reusable. However, it should be cleaned after each use. If the oil in the funnel is clean, you can pour it back into the bottle. Same goes for the oil in the syringe. Then, remove the hose from the syringe. You can also remove the plunger from the syringe and wipe off all residue in the syringe and funnel with a dry paper towel. I like to just leave the paper towel in the syringe and funnel. That way, I make sure that nothing leaks out later. I hope these instructions were easy to follow and that you have a sound pressure point again. If you have any questions, write us, either directly via email or in the comments. If not, happy riding!